Happy Friday evening, everybody. Welcome to our 8 p.m. Tropics Talk. We have quite a bit to discuss tonight, not only in the weather department, but also the future of this channel. I want to go ahead and discuss a couple of options that we have and that I'm going to propose to everybody out there tuning in. We'll give it a couple moments. We'll say hello. We're just kicking things off, although I noticed that we aren't even at the 8 p.m. time frame just yet. It looks like clock's going to strike 8 any moment now. So we'll give it some time for some more folks to join in, hopefully join us tonight. We'll see what happens. Miss Leah, welcome in. Hun, it's good to see you. Nomad Cat 4, hello. Brooke Ward, welcome in. Hello there, good to see you. Kicking things off with our Friday night Tropics Talk. And you know, I didn't think we were going to have as much to talk about, but we do. By the way, it looks like Willow's joining us tonight. She's here in the background. Say hi, mamas. Nothing came out. You gonna say hi? You gonna stick around for... All right, anyways. So, Willow's with us tonight. Weather Center Willow. Hey, from Oviedo, Florida. My grandmother used to live up there. Clayton, welcome in. Zen, welcome in, hun. Good to see you. I am ready. I'm not taking the car out, but I'll definitely head out there if I have the availability. It's looking like it, so... we'll definitely try to make it out. All right, let's go ahead. I already had this playing. All right, so as folks slowly but surely trickle in, I want to make a big announcement first and foremost. Right out of the gate, I'm noticing a very, very unfortunate trend in our page, our activity. And it's likely because we're slowly but surely getting out of the tropical season. Now, if something does decide it wants to ignite out of nowhere, like we're going to talk about tonight, we'll probably see a little bit of a resurgence in the channel's activity. But as it stands, you know, I'm really thinking of making a tempo adjustment with my videos. I'm going to keep the 3 times a week the live streams because the live streams are easy kills. It doesn't take very much, effort. We can go ahead and jump on here, keep it very casual, discuss options, discuss what's going on out there. Very minimal time editing and whatnot. As far as my full-fledged video segments, with how much my viewership is dropping because the tropics are quieting down, a lot of the more big weather pages out there are reporting on North America. My channel is slowly being smothered, unfortunately. I had a feeling this was going to happen. I don't know why it's still shocking to me. Oh, here we go. Willow's going to photobomb the video real quick. Mamas, you got to get out of the way. Excuse us. Yes, you want the cap? Go get the cap here. Go ahead. Sorry, guys. Willow is extra, what's the word I'm looking for? She's extra, never mind. I don't know the word. I can't think of the word right now. Oh, she's extra social tonight. There we go. She's on camera with us. But anyways, guys, yeah, that's how it's looking, to tell you the truth. Before we get into our tropics talk, I'm thinking that for most of the winter time, I'm probably going to end up doing more live streams than actual full-fledged segments. Because to tell you the truth, it is just a little defeating to be making videos and get used to standard level of viewership and then have it drop tremendously. Like, we're at less than half right now, according to the YouTube statistics. Let me go ahead and look again. And if I'm not mistaken, we are big time down. Yeah, we are at 65% less viewers. So we're probably going to be making some adjustments here. I'm going to be coming up with some new content as well. Now I think is the time to go ahead and experiment. I have a lot of things in the works that I was afraid to unveil because of the sake of just keeping the channel growing. But, yeah, I think going forward, I'm going to start putting my foot on the brakes a little bit. Putting my foot on the brakes because I'm working very hard. And unfortunately, such is the time of the year, folks just aren't very interested in the weather. They really aren't. I mean, once hurricane season tapers off, you don't have the excitement of tracking the storms, talking things up, dare I say it, hyping things up. So now people are more or less like, got winter, snow here, snow there, some winds, but nothing dangerous. Will we be stopping content altogether? Absolutely not. No, definitely not. But we're probably going to just continue with the live streams, maybe do 2 to 3 full Weather Center segments throughout the week, or more depending on the updates and whatnot. But yeah, it goes without saying, this is kind of what I had on my radar, unfortunately. That's why I was hoping we could grow as much as we could before we ran into the winter time, because typically this is the slow season. Really not a whole lot to talk about. But we do have some things to talk about in general. Ironically, I didn't think we were going to. Like I let off in today's video, I really did not think I was going to do another full-fledged tropical update. So I guess we'll go ahead and get into that here in a second. Real quick, as the name of the video suggests, we are seeing some pretty intense thunderstorm activity down there near Central America. Now, one thing I will say is I saw a lot of excitement coming from other channels and whatnot in terms of what's happening down there. And if I could be brutally honest, you know, it could be a dangerous situation, but let's go ahead and zoom in real quick. Let's see if we can zoom in down there real fast and get a closer look. Not on this website, it doesn't look like. Let me try continental sectors. Kind of. Let's see. Can this zoom in? Nope, that doesn't do us any good. All right, we're going to go to tropical tidbits. I didn't want to go to tropical tidbits because sometimes I don't like their satellite imagery, but we're going to go ahead and use it anyways. Here we go. Let's go with Western Atlantic. We'll go long wave IR. And you know, there's quite a bit of activity out there, but the thing is, a lot of it is still off the coast. A lot of it has not moved in, and a lot of it is training off the shoreline. If you look, there's a lot of pink convection out here, and as you get towards the very tail end of the loop, there you have it right there. It has not moved a whole lot. It has not come inland just yet. We're definitely seeing some good onshore flow with it. Don't get me wrong. The coastal areas, like I briefed in my video today, are definitely seeing some increased rainfall. But, you know, a lot of it is mainly due to the interaction we have going on with our frontal boundary here and all that warm moisture trying to surge up and out. If you look at all these prevailing easterlies coming off across the Caribbean. So am I de-escalating the problem? Not necessarily, because I know it is still a pretty significant event, especially if that does all decide to make its way inland. Right now, what I think it's doing is bubbling over the hot water out there, so not as much of it as we're seeing on the satellite is probably going to make its way inland. You know, to tell you the truth, there were a few other people also discussing that we could see a lot of inundation from Pilar out there, but if you look at the very end of the beginning of the satellite loop, Pilar is a dead stick as well. There's really not a whole lot going on out there. So, you know, it's another one of those situations where we're going to have to wait and see. I do anticipate a lot of this is going to eventually move inland, but a lot of the very, very core convection right here that's really brewing up out over the greater Caribbean Sea waters, I don't know if that's going to fully translate in. And if you look at our precip totals out there, a lot of the heaviest stuff is going to remain confined to the coastlines of Nicaragua, Honduras, and Belize, and some of the islands just off the coastline of Belize for that matter. So we'll see. We'll definitely see. Everybody, thank you for joining us tonight. Kevin, thank you for watching the video today. I do appreciate it. Zen, you're absolutely right. The true loyal supporters. And don't get me wrong, I'm sure everybody out there is a supporter and all that. It's just, you know, it goes the same thing with me in the car scene. When there's nothing really exciting out there to watch or review, you know, I haven't really watched anything in particular that stands out to me. And, you know, you scream hurricane, and people are going to come running. If you scream, like Robert had mentioned earlier, if you scream wonderful weather, no one's going to come running. They're going to be like, cool, and that's it. So, you know, plus, when you go, and if I'm being honest, when you go forecasting for really bad weather, it also welcomes in the folks who want to say, you're wrong, you're hyping, this, and that. And when there's nothing to debate or there's nothing to add your 2 cents to, naturally, that's also going to dissipate the viewers a little bit, you know? And that's reality. Like Robert was saying, good weather doesn't sell, and controversy, or I should say no controversy, doesn't sell. I mean, that's kind of why whenever you see breaking news, it's always something bad. It's never anything. Breaking news. We just had a wonderful good news event happen over here in Central Florida. You know what I mean? But all right, so we talked Central America, Invest 97L. You know, this really isn't Invest 97L either. There's some people reporting that this is the Invest area, and it's not. If you remember, it tracked down through here like so. So, I mean, a lot of the Invest thunderstorm activity is now being pulled in up to the north. That's for certain. But we have several different entities at work here all at once. So we'll have to see. I'm definitely still predicting that we're going to see some pretty good flooding out there for Central America, especially those 3 countries in question, eventually spreading further to the west into Guatemala and El Salvador as that stuff transitions out to the eastern Pacific. Still kind of in a holding pattern, though, because we do have some really good cloud cover and some moisture out there, but, you can't let satellite mislead you as well. A lot of people will immediately think that just because you have that higher level cloud cover moving across, that means you're getting dumped on by rain, and trust me, that doesn't necessarily always equate to that. There's a lot more stuff that goes on. But let's go ahead and talk tropics, because I know we're all very eager to see exactly what the heck is going on with this. Because you know what? I certainly am. Hurricane once again for Jamaica, hurricane for Cuba, headed towards the southeastern coastline of Florida. Do I really think this is going to happen? No, I don't think so. Is it something worth watching? Yeah, because I do think that maybe we could get a little bit of tropical energy down there in the southern Caribbean, but unless we suddenly see a huge clearing in the shear out there, this thing's going to try to wander into a dang minefield if it tries to push north like the GFS continues to show us. And lest us not forget that at 0Z last night, we had 2 hurricanes going off down there. So I don't know if the GFS is just mad that it busted so heavily on 97L's forecast, but there goes 1 hurricane, and then there goes 2 hurricanes at the same time. So the GFS is trying to give us that grand finale for the 2023 hurricane season that I think a lot of us think we deserve. So Janice, welcome in, sweetie. I saw your comment. I didn't mean to ignore you. I apologize. I was talking, Doff Boy. What's going on, Brian? Dark Earth, hello once again, if I haven't said so already. Let's see if anybody else. Helena, good night. Good to see you. Thank you so much for tuning in tonight. Hurl, welcome in. And I agree. Heavy showers in the capital of Belize. Yep. I think first feeder bands makes a lot of sense. It's going to be an extended event. It's definitely going to be an extended event. We're not seeing the worst of it just yet either. Mick and Marley, I also saw your comment up there. Thank you very much. Matthew F150, good evening and happy Friday indeed. The first Friday of November already, guys. We're into November. I can go ahead and use a horror movie pun. 28 days from now, 28 days later, from this Tropics talk, we will officially be done with the calendar hurricane season. And then we can start hyping up what's happening next year. Because I think next year is going to be 2 hurricanes in the Caribbean type of stuff, especially if we do have La Nina coming in. But all right, let's go to, 18 Zulu. What does 18 Zulu show us? Let's see. Yep, and there you go. Oh, no, so GFS has brought back the 2 circulation kind of idea. Very interesting. So there's 1 weak one that goes shooting out to the east. Wow, it's almost like the GFS heard me. That's wild. It's almost like the GFS is listening to us at this point, because earlier in my video, I no kidding mentioned that I don't believe it's going to be an issue for Puerto Rico that far to the east because it's going to want to try to pull north. And I find it really, really remarkable that now on this latest run of the GFS actually has a hurricane hitting Puerto Rico. That's how I know that this is not to be trusted. This is not to be trusted. And then right after that bad boy, you get another one down there in the Caribbean, a little spin up there, but you switch over to upper dynamics, and there you have it. Look at all that shear. Crazy amounts of shear. I don't know what the GFS is thinking. Like, look at all that shear in the initial run of the GFS2 when the first one forms up. There's just no way, guys. And I've been seeing a lot more people talking that the hurricane risk isn't going to go down for November, and I just don't understand why, because in reality, we really didn't have an active October either. I mean, when you think about it, October wasn't all that busy. Tammy was a big thing. I want to say Philippe and Rena was in the very beginning of October, if I'm not mistaken. Quote me or correct me if I'm wrong. But that was about it. October really wasn't all that crazy. We may get one more storm before it's a wrap. Look out for areas near San Andreas and Providencia. I agree, Hurl. I do agree. That's kind of where I'm watching. Our probabilities have been fluctuating down there, so it's not out of the realm of possibility that we might see a little bit of a tropical flare-up is what I'll call it. I don't think we're going to see an organized system. I really don't. I think we have way too much wind shear down there. Look at that. You come over the Euro and look at how that El Nino wind shear is going to be in full blast. Full blast. I mean, maybe there's a weak little anti-cyclone down there. That's kind of what I was talking to a few of you guys about offline on my Instagram. Very small pocket of availability for something to form up, but then eventually, if it tries to go anywhere, it's dead. It's literally dead. It's going to kamikaze itself and kind of commit suicide, if you will. tropical wise. I don't mean that trying to be ignorant to, the whole that part, but in terms of what a tropical system would do. So yeah, I don't know. Definitely don't think we're going to see much out of it. Melita, welcome in. Good evening. Thank you for joining us. So yeah, that's the only area of, I guess you could say, marginal concern, but the models once again made me eat my words, because as soon as I went to go pull up the probabilities after making my video today, we'll go to the probabilities for the European model, and I'll just show you what I was looking at. So here's 0Z. This is what I used in my video today. And you look down there over the Southern Caribbean, and you could see quite a bit of agreement. I mean, we're up to 45%, almost 50% threshold that something's going to pop up. And then, of course, as soon as I made my video and said, hey, guys, I want to see what the 12Z says, we're back down to 30%. So, Euro's kind of playing games with us, and I think the models are going to continue to play games with us until we're done with the hurricane season. I truly don't think we're going to have anything down there. Could we have a very small area? Like, look at where the ensembles on the Euro are showing. Deep Southern Caribbean. Could we get something once again for Central America? Yeah, but I don't think we're going to get anything prevalent for the rest of the Caribbean. So unfortunately, Central America is my only area of concern, where I think they're just going to continue to see flooding after, or I should say flood after flood after flood. Nothing's going to come walking its way through the Atlantic. I don't think any other part of the Caribbean, let alone the Gulf by itself as well, is favorable for development. So yeah, it's worth talking about, because there is some agreement across model platforms, but do I really buy into it? Do I have high confidence that this is something I'm going to report on day after day after day? Probably not. I don't think so. Canadian model is increasing moisture, and it does look like we could finally get a little bit more rain for the Gulf Coast, particularly Louisiana and Texas, before this big old system starts to drag high pressure off the coastline again. And then if you guys watched my video yesterday, we're looking for cyclogenesis to take place right here. New low pressure center that's really going to drag the rest of that frontal line and high pressure well out into the Caribbean. And see, this is another reason why I don't think we're really going to have anything pop off, because with this massive modified high pressure right there, it goes without saying, if I switch over to we don't have it on here. Let's go to the Euro. Yep, there's our high pressure. If I switch over to our relative humidity, look at all this dry, look at that. Intense amounts of dry air. So we're literally on lockdown at this point. The Euro does think that there is a possibility we could see a bit of a surge of low-level moisture down here deep into the Caribbean, but that's not enough for me to raise the alert. At least not as much as some of these other channels are doing. Some of these other channels are throwing out there that we have a hurricane threat, or that there's going to be a major landfall, or some people are even forecasting 2 to 3 different storms in November, and it's like, okay, we really gotta slow it down there, muchacho, because I don't see it. Just like we used to say in Air Force weather, JNSI, just not seeing it. And so that's also another reason why I'm thinking of modifying my content a little bit. So I would love some feedback for the few people who are in here tonight. We're only at 49 viewers. Thank you all for tuning in. Of course, I'm not ungrateful by any means. It's still nice to chat with all my folks in here who are looking forward to the Tropics talks. But I want to go ahead and do a little bit of a tally. So these are some of the things I've been brainstorming. First and foremost, we're obviously going to continue to do our 3 live streams per week. That's not going to change. Like I said in the very beginning of this live stream, the live videos are very easy kills for me. I can just sit down, turn the computer on, and here we are. So those are not going away. I'm thinking for my full-fledged weather updates, depending on how active the weather pattern is for North America and down in the south and whatnot, maybe I'll do 2 to maybe 4 update videos a week, and that's every 7 days. Sunday is officially on the table now. If we do have prevalent weather, obviously we can go back to a very heavy stream of content, but I'm also thinking of doing, going ahead and starting to do preparedness videos. I'm thinking of maybe doing some preparedness segments for the next hurricane season for bad weather in general, because that's something you see a lot of people on YouTube mentioning. And, there's really no content out there without you having to go to the interwebs and Google what preparedness looks like. So I'm thinking of maybe doing a segment or two on just all around preparedness. Like, when we say prepare, I know a lot of folks, when we had Tammy out there, when we had Invest 97L and all that stuff, a lot of folks were using the terminology, make sure you're prepared, make sure you're prepared. But in my personal opinion, if I didn't know any better, I'd be like, well, how do I prepare? What do you mean? Like, do I just need to go buy water and toilet paper like we did during COVID, So I'm definitely thinking that I'm going to do maybe a segment or two over the next couple of months specifically about severe weather preparedness, whether it be about hurricanes, tornadoes, or just anything severe weather in nature. Or I was also thinking we could do different preparedness segments for different types of severe weather. We can do a hurricane one, we can do a tornado one, we can do a flash flood one, we can do a snowstorm one. We can do different things like that, and maybe on like a week or every 2-week basis. Something like that. I was also, a very good friend of mine introduced me to the idea of doing a Weatherman Reacts series, whether it be to videos on YouTube or Weatherman Reacts to the movie The Day After Tomorrow or Twister or something like that. I'd love to do a commentary series, even if that's also a once every other week kind of thing. I upload a video like that. And then naturally, I haven't forgotten about my educational series either. I've been thinking about doing an educational series just on basic stuff, because I know a lot of the comments when I first started YouTube, can wildfires be included in the severe weather? Yeah, absolutely. Nomad Cat 4, that's another good one. Yeah, wildfires. So let's see. Where was I? Shucks, I just lost my train of thought. There was significant impacts for portions of North Florida and West Coast. What do you mean, PM? Significant impacts for where? Or from what, I should say, excuse me. But obviously the educational videos are definitely going to be a thing still. I'd like to start doing those, especially since initially when I first started YouTube, I used to get a lot of comments who would say, I have no idea what you're saying, or you're the most complicated weatherman I've ever listened to. And it's just because I like to throw all my nerd weather jargon in here. And sometimes I got to remember, especially if I want to go television meteorology in the future, that I can't say divergence and major shortwave trough, and I can't say confluent flow in the upper levels, and I got to keep it simple to spreading of the air and upward vertical motion and stuff like that, or rising air, things of that nature. So thinking about doing a very short mini series on education. And then that's kind of all I got for now. Some people have actually mentioned doing, I forget who it was. Maybe you're in the chat right now and you could back me up on this one, but someone suggested I should do like actual weather horror segments too. I don't know how I would do that. I don't know how I would do that, especially down here in Florida where we don't really see a whole lot of active weather, let alone snowfall, to do things like that. But, I think that'd be kind of neat too. This month for Thanksgiving and then next month for Christmas and New Year's, I'm also going to be doing more holiday shorts. This month, obviously, I'm definitely going to do Thanksgiving reels, or I should say Thanksgiving videos. Definitely giving thanks for you guys, and regardless of where we're at in terms of growth or, viewage and etc., I still couldn't be more grateful for you guys, and it goes without saying. That's true from the heart, from the get-go. Because, I remember when I first got started, I was excited for getting 100, 200 views in my videos, let alone I should still be grateful and put things into perspective. I'm still getting 1,000, 2,000 views. So it goes without saying, we've only been at it for now going on 3 months. I think here very soon. Yeah, I think within another week or something, it'll be 3 months officially on YouTube. So I shouldn't really have any complaints. And honestly, if with way things are looking for next hurricane season, we could possibly have even more to talk about and even worse storms to talk about. So, it goes without saying we're going to have things to report on, whether it be here soon or later down the road, whatever the case may be. But yes, wildfires can definitely be included. Wildfires are not necessarily spoken about too often, but they are technically weather-induced. The drought is a wonderful example of that. A reaction video would be fun. Oh yeah, I can do a lot of different reaction videos. Tony, the claims adjuster, anything you produce will be entertaining. 100% that might drive to Northwest Florida when it snows. Good program. My friend, I'm in Antigua, tuned in. Welcome in, Desmond. Good to see you. I can tell you the Great Labor Day Hurricane. Do a video on that. Some crazy stuff happened during that storm. How about one segment per week explaining how to read the skies or patterns in the weather to look ahead to see what's coming, a bit of what you learned in the Air Force to predict weather? I'd watch it. Yeah. I mean, that's definitely a good idea for sure. I'm open to anything that you guys would want to suggest too, because I mean, at the end of the day, I could go ahead and make videos at random, but it's what you guys want to see as well. So I'm open to any and all suggestions, just like I really wish I'd written down who it was who suggested it, but I liked the idea of transitioning Tropics talk to post-tropic topics. Someone had suggested that I change the name to post-tropic topics, and that's very cunning. I like that a lot. I already have. Are you thinking about no? Don't let next hurricane season already start freaking you out. Okay, we got a lot of time to get ahead of that. 2024 hurricane season is gonna be wild. I hope not. But if we, with everything that's stacked up this year, if we go back to La Nina, one thing is for certain: the landfalls are gonna go up. That's regardless. I mean, even if we don't, let's be honest, guys. Even if, let's say, we do have a return to form and the Caribbean, the Atlantic and all that, the temperatures cool down, we go back to normal, even if we have temperatures go back to normal and we switch out of El Nino to a La Nina, that still means we're going to have bad storms, regardless. That means that we're definitely going to have more landfalls. You're going to see the map shift between what we saw this year and more or less what we saw during 2022, with a lot more action forming in the Caribbean and in the Gulf. That's the big difference I want you guys to remember, too. I only started really reporting on hurricane season this year, late into the season, but you could definitely tell, even if it really didn't show itself, El Nino was out there. El Nino was definitely a thing, because I remember watching countless YouTube videos in the past, countless Weather Channel updates, Local on the 8s, Channel News 13, and I remember year after year after year, especially during La Nina, we'd have hurricane after hurricane going through the Caribbean, forming up and blowing up in the Gulf of Mexico. And PM, you're absolutely right. There was nothing that came close to the Bahamas. I have not mentioned the Bahamas once in any of my videos. And when I say that, I mean actually mentioned storm coming. Some people mentioned that with Lee and all that, it could go towards the Bahamas. There were a lot of folks with Lee who kept on hyping the idea that for some reason it's going to go towards the Bahamas and towards Florida. I don't know who encouraged that, because there were no signs it was going to go towards Florida. That was a big thing during Hurricane Lee. I'll never understand who started that rumor. But bottom line, even if we go back to normal next year and we don't see the hot temperatures and all that, and we just have a La Nina, we're definitely going to start seeing a lot more landfalls. And unfortunately, it's going to be open season for our folks in the Caribbean and the Southeast, and especially the Gulf Coast. I know the drought is really bad for us out there in the Gulf Coast location, and especially Western Florida, but I vividly recall, even at a young age, looking at hurricanes or hurricane seasons to where it was constantly back-to-back, Texas landfall, Louisiana, Mississippi landfall, Florida landfall, Carolinas landfall, something big in the Caribbean headed towards the Gulf of Mexico. So, I definitely think that we had some good reports this year. There were some instances where even I myself, early in my YouTube career, or whatever you want to call it, fell victim to hyping because I got a little excited. Big lesson learned, and next year, I definitely think we're going to have to open our eyes a little bit and realize that we're going to see a big shift. If what the models are thinking are true and we're going to transition out of El Nino, we definitely got to buckle down, and a lot of other YouTube channels out there as well are really going to have to start dialing back the hyperbole now and kind of putting it in their back pocket on reserve for when the big ones do end up showing up next year or even in 2025. Because I know I'll be here for next hurricane season, Lord willing, if we're all still here. Praise God. But there's far too many videos I've seen this year. If there's one big thing, and I guess we can start kind of recapping too, if there's one big takeaway that I saw from this hurricane season is way, way too much clickbait, way too much hyperbole, way too much sensationalism. And like I said, guys, I even admit I was in there too. I remember my biggest fail of the hurricane season was with Hurricane Lee. And I'll openly admit I watched a few other videos from other YouTube channels, and they were also saying, oh God, life-threatening, dangerous, get out of there, run. And I decided to buy into it because I noticed that they were getting the views, and I was still at about 1,000 subscribers. So naturally, as a noob, I decided, yeah, let's do it. Let's hype it up. And a lot of people, of course, got in my comment section and said, dude, you're lying. This ain't even going to be that bad. Calm down. And I think that was kind of the turning point for this channel, too, because I started kind of like putting my blockers on, and I'd shoot my video of my content first and take my own notes and do what I need to do, and then I'll watch other videos and then kind of compare. And that's when I started to notice we're really not delineating between what really needs to be emphasized and what doesn't really need to be emphasized. Like, God forgive me, you guys forgive me, whoever's tuning into this video after this, forgive me, but with what's going on in Central America, to use different verbs like life-threatening, terrifying, extreme, catastrophic, we got to go ahead and adjust a little bit because, again, take a step out, and initially we were thinking hurricane, big-time hurricane. Now we just have a lot of rainfall. So let's break it down and, guys, like let's backpedal a little bit. We got some flooding going on down there, but that's nothing new to them down there. Unfortunately, they've been flooding almost all the hurricane season, especially after Idalia and into September and October. The gyre and all that area of instability, a ton of rainfall down there for Guatemala, for Mexico, for El Salvador. Just consistent pounding by very strong daytime thunderstorms. So honestly, getting more rain out there, as bad as it is, they don't need any more. But when you really boil away the bias and, trying to put some thumbnail out there that's going to bring in the views, it's not a difference, like you got to step back and understand perspective. I'd much rather take flooding versus a major hurricane blasting through my house if I live out there. You know what I mean? That's the difference. I think we got to keep a lot of this stuff that's going to reel the viewers in to get us listening to information for when it really matters. Don't exhaust yourself trying to get all the views over a thunderstorm. I think it was I forget what day it was, but I was out and about with a few people, and I was cracking a joke. It was right after the front had come through down here after Halloween, and we had a random, strong gust come through. Uh-oh, why am I lagging? Oh, I think it's doing the advertisement again. Dang it, yep, it's doing the advertisement. I'm sorry about that. But I remember I was walking around outside, and we had a random, strong, chilly gust of wind come through. This was after, I think it was Wednesday. It was when the front had just come through, and I was cracking a joke with my friends, and I pulled my phone out, and I was like, oh, God, guys. And they're like, what's wrong? What's wrong? I got to record this. And I started recording, and I'm like, life-threatening post-frontal winds, extreme wind damage, guys. We got to take shelter right now. And I was just, messing around. I thought that was funny. The titles for the videos play the YouTube algorithms. Yeah, you're definitely right. Yeah, we'd be totally screwed. The power grid here is absolutely pathetic. With 2 landfalls, Puerto Rico would be without electricity for a year and a half. I believe that. Florida got spared for the most part. Pretty much everybody on the Gulf Coast, minus the Panhandle, was spared this year. I mean, you go back to even just last year, and there were a lot of things that went wrong. Can you remind of what we have in 2004, 2005? Was it El Nino or La Nina? So believe it or not, 04 was we were coming out of an El Nino. 2004 was El Nino transitioning, kind of like we're doing now. And then 05 was a La Nina. 05 was a La Nina. And let's do that right now. Let's go ahead and do that comparison real quick. 2005 hurricane season tracks. This will put it into perspective. And before we go, let's go over here. Let's go do because I know they just revised the chart as well. Hurricane tracks. There you have it. This is brand spanking new with all of our storms out there. And if you guys take a look, I mean, we didn't have anything for the Bahamas. We had Tropical Storm Franklin for the Dominican Republic, a couple of really, really close calls to the Lesser Antilles. We did have Brett early in the season, and then we had Idalia. And Harold, who no one really talked about, Harold really came and gone quick. Now, pay attention to this image and look at how the source region was mainly the Atlantic and a lot of storms, a lot of fish storms, a lot of resurrected storms, a lot of fish storms. We had 3 storms. I mean, we can count Arlene, but Arlene was a weird anomaly at the very start of the hurricane season. So, I mean, we'll just kind of, we're not going to embarrass Arlene like that. But anyways, take a mental snapshot of this, and then let's go to a 2005 hurricane season with La Nina in effect. Look at that. Look at the night and day difference. Night and day difference, guys. That's what I'm talking about. Like, we got to save all this hype and excitement for when it really matters. Like, look at that. We had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 major hurricanes. Just 6 of those hurricanes were major hurricanes hitting a big area, populated area. Texas, Louisiana multiple times, Florida, the Panhandle, South Texas, Caribbean getting decimated, Jamaica, the Cayman Islands, Cuba, the Bahamas got destroyed. Like, we got to put it into perspective. We really got to put it into perspective. And I know I haven't been reporting on other hurricane seasons, but I mean, just take a look at that. Like, if we get a La Nina, like I said, all the source region out there in the Atlantic is going to backpedal and it's going to shift to the Caribbean, and that's when a lot of people are going to be in harm's way. A lot of people are going to be harm's way. We had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 different storms that year that actually made landfall in a very, very highly populated area. Whereas if you come back over here, we had 1, 2, we had some really close calls out there in the Lesser Antilles. I'm not taking away from you guys. I swear I'm not. I promise I'm not doing that. But let's be honest once again, especially with Hurricane Tammy, we got lucky. A lot of the major impacts stayed off to the east outside of Barbuda. So, again, like it goes without saying, we had one major landfall, and then we had another 2 landfalls in the Carolinas. But Harold, I don't even remember anybody mentioning anything about Harold. I remember Mike's weather page was out there storm chasing, but I didn't really hear much after that. And then we had Ophelia, and honestly, with a lot of stuff happening with Ophelia, a lot of the tornado risk and the flood threat, once again, when she made landfall, I really didn't hear much after that. There wasn't anything reported. And that's kind of how you know that it was more hype than anything, in my opinion, because look at Otis, for example. Look at Otis right now. We have so many different reports, so many before and after the fact, so many different observations, so many new updates coming out of that area because of how bad it was. That is a true case in point where it deserves the hype, it deserves the emphasis, it deserves all the on it because it was bad. It was really bad. Whereas all these other storms where people are hitting extreme and dangerous and explosive, nuclear warheads, obviously if there's no major news network reporting on it, especially in the United States, then obviously it really wasn't that bad. Gene hit Puerto Rico during 2004. Yes, he did. And then he did that loop-de-loop and crashed headfirst into Florida as a major hurricane. Let's go to the 2020. I don't remember 2020 at all. I wasn't looking at 2020. I was still in the heart of my Air Force career getting ready to deploy, so I was not looking at 2020. That was a La Nina year too. Oh, dear God. See, look at that. Look at this is what I'm afraid of. That's what I'm afraid of. Like, we had it easy this year, and the fact that we're hyping up anything at this point is really going to lull people into thinking that every little bad storm is going to be life-threatening. You take a look at this, and you can't even see the Gulf Coast. Like, they had to zoom in on the Gulf Coast to show how many times they got blasted by severe hurricanes or just regular old hurricanes for that matter. Like, just in Louisiana, we had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different landfalls in just Louisiana. Look at the islands out there in the Caribbean, too. The Cayman Islands got swacked. Cuba got schwacked. Dominican Republic, Puerto Rico, the Antilles saw some direct hits that year. The Bahamas saw a direct hit. Florida, of course, got their direct hits. Like, this season definitely was not bad at all. This season was definitely a breeze. Like, if you guys really want me to take off my professional clothing, the professional filter, this season was boring. This season, not a whole lot happened. In the East Pacific, they were on fire. That was a wild East Pac series. For us in 2023, though, out in the Atlantic, if we're really being harsh, in terms of the truth, it was an inactive season. In terms of landfalls, we had a lot of storms out there, but it really wasn't, anything crazy to write home about. I mean, we can have storms in the Atlantic all day, but when they start hitting land and they start taking people's homes and property and, God forbid, lives, that's the big thing. That's a dangerous hurricane season. And this right here is a prime example of a dangerous hurricane season. You mean for Florida, PM? I really hope you're saying for Florida 2020 season was quiet, because what I see right here, that definitely is not quiet. That puts 2023 to shame. And I mean, even Florida kind of got in on the action too, though. We had a few landfalls. We had 1, 2, 3, 4 landfalls and a close scrape from who's number 9. It was Isaias. Isaias was a close call along the East Coast down there in the Boca Raton, Fort Lauderdale area. So I mean, technically Florida was pretty active too. We just didn't have any strong systems come through. Can we watch a quick 1-year sat loop of 2020? Actually, you know what? I think we can. I'm sure they have something like that. 2020 hurricane season satellite loop. Oops, I went Lou. Here we go. Let's see. This is a 15-minute video, so as we talk, I'm just going to have this playing in the background. Here we go. So I'm actually kind of curious to see this too, because I wasn't paying attention. Look at that upper low over Florida right there. Oh, shoot, that's Arthur. Okay, they were off to a racing start. There's Arthur already. Shoot, forming right off the coastline of Florida. Then we have that frontal system coming through. Let's see if we're going to get a post-frontal tropical system off of that, because that's what a lot of people are thinking is going to happen here in the Caribbean. We're going to have a post-frontal tropical cyclone induced. It looks like there might be something trying to get going over the Caribbean. No, maybe not. Maybe not. Nope. And see, even right now, guys, look out over there. You can see that there's a lot of thunder. Look at all that thunderstorm activity. It's not unusual for our guys down there. Look at Central America, night and day. Every day you have the diurnal convection. Look at that stuff. Look at that. During max heat of the day, big thunderstorms. And that's what I'm talking about, It's a bad situation what's happening down there with that invest area, but look at that. Look at all that thunderstorm down there with the gyres setting up. There's Bertha. Look at all the thunderstorms down there for us. There was no drought that year for Florida, that's for sure. The Gulf Coast getting storm after storm, it looks like. Oh. There goes something coming across the Yucatan, it looks like. That looked kind of tropical right there. Oh, yeah, look at that. That's going to form into something. That has to form into something. Name it. There it is. Cristobal. I was going to say that has to form into something. That looked like it was going to form into something. I think that was one of the storms I was researching, too, when we were talking about that Gulf of Mexico entity. He formed in kind of the same general area. It looks like we're going to get something else out of that. Oh, no, that's Cristobal still going up to the north. I forgot. He made landfall on the Gulf Coast. Looking a little subtropical there at that point. Definitely looking a little subtropical. Look at all that thunderstorm activity down there near South America. There goes Central America blowing up again. See, it's not unusual for them down there at all. It's not. I know that sounds callous of me to say, but it's not their first rodeo. I want to see some of the big ones, though. Where are the big ones at? Let's see. Where do we go? Let's fast forward a little bit. Do we have? Oh, here we go. I see something. There goes another storm right there. Hurricane hitting South Texas. Look at that tropical wave. Look at the freight train. See, we didn't have that this year. Look at those big old tropical waves coming across. Look at the Lesser Antilles getting wrecked. See, that's something worth reporting on right there. Look at that. There's Isaias. Yep. Moving through the Bahamas, taking everybody with them, albeit kind of weak, kind of disorganized. Yeah, there we go. I'll go ahead and speed it up a little bit. We'll go 2 times. There we go. All right, let's blast through this now. Let's get some of the big ones in here, because I know the big ones are coming. Caribbean blowing up with thunderstorm activity again. See, again, that looks like exactly what we're dealing with right now. And that's not even the worst of it. Here comes another big tropical wave. I can see the MDR flaring up. Big stuff coming across the MDR. That's a really organized one. It's going to get its act together. It's already consolidated. Yep, there it is. Josephine right there. Kyle randomly coming off the East Coast. Look at that. That was random. I didn't see that one coming, I'll be honest. MDR, the intertropical convergence zone, is blowing up. Looks like we're going to get something else going through the Caribbean. Is it going to consolidate? Are we going to get it? Looks big. It looks big. It looks like it's spinning. There's Laura. There's Marco. Yep, there goes Marco. Look at it again, taking all the Caribbean islands with it. Again, we dodged a lot of bullets. Look at Laura go. Now she's going to hit the coast. Look at that. Blowing up. Major hurricane. Boom. Crazy. That's a bad scenario for everybody. That's a bad scenario. It took everybody out, and it didn't die either. Laura went and obliterated everybody. Here comes another one forming up. Nana, Omar. Look at that. Again, major landfalls down there in the Caribbean. And still a lot of leftover stuff out there. Look at that. A lot of juice left over down there. The big upper low headed towards Florida right there. Got some very aggressive. Well, they developed quick too. Paulette and Renee developed quick out there. Those are your fish storms right there. There they go. Definitive fish storms. Looks like something's forming up off the coast of Florida right there. Yep, Sally right there. Knew it. You'd think I've done this before. You can kind of call it just looking at the satellite imagery. Teddy. Teddy's going to bomb out. What the hell is that off the Florida Panhandle? That thing was rotating fast. There goes a major hurricane right there, kind of looking reminiscent of Nigel. Same general area. There's Beta, Wilfred. Kind of looking like Lee out there now over the Atlantic. There it goes, getting pulled in. Actually, it almost did do a Lee right there. You saw that? Looked almost exactly like Lee. Let's see, what's next? What's next? Look at that big anticyclone over the Gulf of Mexico. Something's going to come out of there. Something has to come out of there. There's a giant anticyclone out there. There comes the frontal boundary. Look at the Caribbean blowing up with thunderstorm activity. There we go. There's our next system right there, Gamma. Then there's another system behind it. That's definitely gonna form too. Look at that system behind it, just to the south of Jamaica, Delta. See, I'm gonna pause the video right there. I'm gonna pause the video right there because it just further reinforces the point. Like, look at that. That's what the GFS is predicting on our long-range models right now, and that's not going to happen, but, like, could it happen? It happened in 2020. That's wild. I agree, yes. What was the storm that sat over the Bahamas for, like, 3 days? That was when I first heard something about the government controlling the weather. That was Dorian, if we're talking about the same storm. Hurricane Dorian, Category 5, sat over the Bahama Islands for multiple days. That was also a bad situation. They were underneath a Category 5 for days. Like, that's just unfathomable. Hurricane season. I just want to go back and reminisce a little bit. Satellite. Let's see if they have it. Here we go. Let's see. Is this going to do it? Yep, here we go. We're going to look at 2004 real quick just to see what weak El Nino style hurricane season was like. And look at all the shear down there in the Caribbean. You could see it. Lots of El Nino wind shear down there. But there it goes. There goes something right there. Who is that? Is that going to be Bonnie? I think that was Bonnie. No, maybe not. Maybe not. I don't think they're going to have the names on it on here either. Lots of El Nino shear down there in the Caribbean during 2004. But that didn't stop our storms from coming together. Very crazy. Honestly, yeah, that was fun. I wouldn't mind doing more of this stuff. Definitely. Nothing going on just yet, though. I remember 2004, we were kind of off to a late start. Because if we had Hurricane Charlie in August, then that means June and July was very boring. We didn't have much going on until late, which is very indicative of an El Nino year. Usually are very, very quiet until the back end, and we can start getting some major hurricane development out there. Shucks, a lot of activity down over the southeast, though. Here we go. I wonder who's that? Who is that? Because that's definitely going to form into something. Oh, no, maybe not. Never mind. That didn't form into anything. Shear must have wiped it out as it wandered into the Caribbean. I wish we had like a time. Oh, no, this is July now. Okay, so yeah, we were definitely off to a slow. There we go. Okay, now we are going to have names on here. There's Alex. This looks like it's going to be Bonnie. That's a very healthy wave moving into the Caribbean. Oh no, then the El Nino shear got that one too, wiped it out. Or maybe, oh no, there it is. Yep, Bonnie. There we go. There he is. There's my main man, Charlie. This is the one that's going to come and screw everything up. There he goes. Boom. Tiny storm. Love him to death. I'm getting chills thinking about it. Charlie's my best friend out there, and too bad he's now almost 20 years old at this point. Look at that. I think this is Ivan right here. No, that's Francis. Okay. Francis coming in looking very healthy out in the MDR. Major Hurricane Francis right there. Hermine, I remember Hermine reporting on that. Well, not me reporting on it, but reading the reports. Here comes Francis scraping through the Bahamas. Huge eye. Took its sweet time over Florida and then finally washed out. Here comes Ivan. This was a bad one for the Caribbean. Direct hit to Jamaica. Boom. Cayman Islands. Big direct hit. Cuba scraping it and then going right up into the Panhandle. Gene was a weird one. Gene was a funny one. Watch how Ivan's going to come back down, though. Ivan comes back down. There goes Gene doing his loop-de-loop, kind of playing around with this storm. You know what? Now that I think about it, maybe that's what caused Gene to do his loop-de-loop. There was a little bit of Fujiwara going on out there. Now that I think about it, because if you look, let me pause it right. See that? So there's a big old frontal system right here parked up alongside of it that was going to try to pull it up this way. But then look at how we have Hurricane, I think it was Lisa, right here doing that Fujiwara dance with the two of them getting into close proximity with one another. So I think it was the hurricane on top of the fact that we had the front out there that unfortunately sent Gene back towards us right there. There he goes. Going back to the west and then plowed right into Florida. There it is. Big old upper level feature out there in the Caribbean. I need to start revisiting these videos a little bit more. There's Matthew. Need to start Whoa, wait, that's way too ironic, guys. That was way too ironic. Look at this right here. Look at all this. Starting off as a non-tropical system, and I just realized that we had a repeat of 2004 last year in 2022. Because look at how this big old glob of stuff formed up and then eventually went tropical. It was non-tropical, and then watch, boom, finally went tropical right there. And then look at the name. That's wild. Look at that. History does technically repeat itself. That's wild. My mind is genuinely blown right now. So we had the exact same setup that happened last year, minus the Florida landfall, with Nicole in 2004. Same storm. Nicole last year, Nicole in 2004. Same precipice, same development strategy, or same development style. Look at that. Mind blown. All right, we're going to go ahead and look at 2012. I saw a request. We'll do 2012. How do I get out of here? Can I escape? There we go. And let's do 2012, and then we're going to wrap the stream. Okay, 2012, hurricane season satellite. Let's go to theater mode. Here we go. 2012. This was when I joined the military. This is when I went away to Air Force weather, so I definitely was not paying attention to her. I was actually in basic training during peak hurricane season. And then actually, I forget the name of the storm, but I was in tech school learning the weather job in Biloxi, Mississippi, when one of the tropical storms hit us out there. Let's see if I can spot it. It was definitely in August or September. Let's go forward in time because we have a long way to go. This is July. There's August. Ernesto. Here we go. Here's August. So I was in basic training right now. It's August 17th, 18th, 19th, 20th. So now we're getting close. I was just graduating basic training, getting ready to go to weather tech school. I think maybe this is the one. I think it was Isaac. Let's see where Isaac goes. Yep, there he goes right there. So Isaac, right, made landfall, boom, right there in Biloxi, Mississippi. So August 29th into the beginning of September, I remember now, I was meant to start my weather tech school, I think, right about this time, August 28th or 27th or the 28th, one of those days. I think it was the 28th. And we actually got pushed back an extra week because we were sheltered in place thanks to Tropical Storm Isaac. Talk about a blast from the past. Good stuff. There's Leslie. Leslie kind of did a Philippe and a Tammy out there. There goes another Michael. We obviously know Michael was retired with the Cat 5 that hit Florida, so this was obviously not the retired Michael. Nadine. I remember watching something about Nadine. That name sounds very familiar. Big time front coming off the United States. There goes a nice subtropical low out there. Upper low forming up, then dissipates. Oh, we lost the satellite. There we go. Got another tropical wave trying to make its way through the Caribbean. Doesn't look like it's going to do much. Just a lot of thunderstorm activity out there. Oh, nope. Looks like something's trying to consolidate. Something might be trying to consolidate in the Caribbean. Nope, never mind. And it got sheared apart. Big old frontal system came up, tore it apart. Look at that healthy tropical wave getting ready to move through the Lesser Antilles. That's going to form into something. Yep, there he is, Raphael. I was going to say, Raphael did a worst-case scenario of what Tammy could have done. I saw him go across the Lesser Antilles right there. Definitely hit them all. I was in college and watched all the storms in 2012. Isaac hit New Orleans. Sandy hit the Bahamas and New Jersey. Ethan's life, Matthew split our tree in a front yard and was glowing blue. Look up Angels Glow and the Civil War connection. Wow. Very cool stuff. We should definitely do stuff like this, though. Like do hurricane seasons in review. But it goes without saying, you know, we're going to come out of El Nino. And unfortunately, these are the types of hurricane season tracks we got to get ready for. Still a long ways away. You know, we got to still close out this hurricane season. So obviously we can talk about it, but we can't really hype or do anything because we got, you know, what is it? We'll say... We got 7 months until the next hurricane season. Oh yeah, Ian was very similar to Charlie, except Ian was much slower moving and a bigger storm. Charlie was very tiny. Charlie was the true epitome of like a saw blade hurricane, whereas Ian was a lot bigger. But in true Weather Center Nazario fashion, let's go ahead and close out the stream with our 18Z GFS ensembles. Here we go. Can I put in a request, please? Director Nazar Twister 2 starring Hurricane Charlie and a 5-year-old weather enthusiast telling the story. That'd be awesome. You know, I would not be opposed to that. That'd be kind of neat. Can you do 98, the year I was born, please? Can we look at 2018? We will do that next time. Jack Band, COS, we can do that next time, I promise, on Monday night. And we can also look at 2018. Daniel, just remind me, guys, and we can go ahead and run it back on Monday, especially if we don't really have much to talk about in the tropics. We can definitely do like a in review. So here we go. There's what's left of Invest 97. Moving across, and then let's see what it does out there in the Caribbean. There it goes. Yep, lots, still decent ensemble agreement for something coming out of there. I don't know what it's going to be. But again, you can see the general consensus is off in this direction, which makes sense for the time of year. All that frontal activity is going to stop anything from moving up towards the southeast. So we're safe up here. We're definitely safe up here. But, you know, Caribbean might still have to watch for a little something. I don't think anything's going to form, though. It just wouldn't make any sense. But, you know, just for the sake of the time period, we still are 28 days away from the end of hurricane season. Well, coming up on 27 now, excuse me. So we'll go ahead and wait and see like we always do and play it by ear. But all right, folks, we are officially at the hour mark. I'm going to rapidly make a run for one of my friends' place because I got to go get a haircut. And Lord willing, we can get that done tonight because I've been looking real raggedy. Maybe that's why my views are down. I just look like trash. Straight porqueria. I haven't really shaved too much. I got really bad hair going on, so maybe that's why my views are down. I'm just kidding. No, that's not it. Are you making videos on Sunday now? To be determined, Daniel. Sundays are probably still going to be my family days because we'll be at church for a large majority of the morning and the afternoon, and then obviously we got to do errands, meal prep, get ready for the week, but you'll definitely start seeing a difference. I'll probably still do a full-fledged segment tomorrow just to end the week, Saturday. And then Sunday, I'm really going to start brainstorming exactly what it is that I want to do and what kind of new content I want to unveil for you guys, not only for the holidays, but also for just, the continuum of the Weather Center channel until we get back to hurricane season once again, 7 months from now. Going to be counting down big time. But all right, folks, it goes without saying, thank you very much for tuning in. Melita, have a good night. Carmen, have a great night. Everyone have a wonderful evening for that matter. It's always a pleasure talking to everybody. And if you guys would like to see a continuation of this in-review style Tropics talk, I'm more than willing to do that. It was a good time looking at all the historic storms and kind of brainstorming what it was that is, could possibly happen next year. Need to freshen up, get a nice cut and trim the beard, let it grow. Yeah, I do need a fresh cut. Maybe I'll let this grow out for the winter time. Winter in Florida. Good night, sir, and thank you. I love watching you regardless of season off or on. Your ace. Signing off, Thomas. Have a good evening. Matthew F150. Good night, everyone. Signing out. I have to wake up early tomorrow to put up Christmas decorations. Heck yeah. Not doing that just yet, but we're going to be getting close. Maybe halfway through. And then, yes, Ethan's Life. I'm going to try to make that car show tomorrow, buddy. I definitely want to get out there, look at some cars, maybe reinvigorate the passion a little bit. But, thanks for taking some time out of your Friday night to talk Tropics with me, guys. It's always a joy. Friday is my favorite night of the week because we always get to kind of go off the cuff and ad-lib it a little bit. And we'll see what happens. I mean, there's still a little something out there on the models for us to talk about in the tropical AOR, so maybe we're not done yet. I personally think we are, but, still gives us something to look at. So until next time, guys, we'll talk to you very soon. We'll see you tomorrow for our 6 p.m. segment of Weather Center Nazario. But until then, no shave November, winter beard time. That's what I did. That is true. That's a big one. No shave November. But alrighty, folks, we'll see you again tomorrow. We'll talk to you very soon. This is Weather Center Nazario, signing out.